Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
A very, very warm welcome to you wherever you are in the world. I do apologize for keeping you waiting amongst a bit of load shedding and a few technical issues. We're back and we're on and we're ready to rock and roll with Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire. And I promise you right now, for those of you out there listening or dialing in or waiting to come in, I can well assure you it is definitely worth your while. I have the pleasure, the privilege of welcoming one of South Africa's top most successful sportsman in a very, very long time. The gentleman's name is Oscar Chalupsky, a gentleman born in 1961 in South Africa, went to an exceptionally good school called Westville Boys High. Oscar went on to do some of the most unbelievable things, and very, very few paddlers have held the records comparable to what Oscar Chalupsky has held. And his career started in his school days. His accomplishments include 12 times World Molokai Surf Champion, and I could go on and on and on. And it's with great pleasure that I want to welcome Mr. Oscar Chalupsky. Please welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Philip. Really appreciate you having me on the studio, and I know the sacrifice you have to make to do this show. And yes, they come with their challenges when you're in South Africa. I mean, at least you've got warm weather. You've left chilly London, and you've left me in chilly Portugal as I sit here in my Portugal.
Oh, my word. But you're still in a beautiful country, Oscar, and that's really wonderful. And thank you so much for taking the time to engage with us on this journey, because with Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire, it is all about what we literally use in that amazing term of live, learn, teach, inspire. And if there's anybody out there that's lived in the time that you've been on this earth, it's you, Oscar. And I really would love to sort of get down to some really strong basics here. And you've achieved, honestly, so much in the paddling world, including the Olympics, the world champs, and really, what made you transition from your beautiful paddling days, your water sport days, into becoming this incredible motivational speaker?
Well, it just sort of happened, and just understand this, that the only way you've got to have authority and you've got to have achieved things, because then I don't think you can be a motivational speaker if you've never actually been there, done it, and it's pretty hard. So I started at a young age. Then I did a lot of motivational speaking because I was like the first person in the world to win junior and senior Ironman in surf lifesaving. And then 1 month later, another guy, Grant Kenny, did it. But from that young age, I learned to help people. And my whole life has been about helping people. And how I help people, I was a lifeguard. So I was a lifeguard saving lives on North Beach. And I spent my life also teaching people how to be better paddlers, and spend my life how to teach people how to sell. Because understand, I was never a professional sportsman. Never, ever did I wake up and realize I can just go and paddle, or I can just go and play water polo or play rugby. In my day, there was nothing. When I won a race, I won a bottle of wine or a six-pack of beers, so you're not going to do anything. So I really had to balance my life. And that's important for all people to learn, is that you can't just paddle all the time if you're not making money. You can't just work all the time because you're never going to have a family life. So this balance, and I think that's what's made me. And then the sort of crowning event happened sitting right on this seat, right where I'm here, when I got told I had 6 months to live. And then I thought, okay, well, let's see if this cancer that wants to try and kill me can beat me in 6 months, which it hasn't. And I think that's why I also wrote my book, No Retreat, No Surrender, because that's the only reason why I want to do it, to help other people overcome adversity. And I think that's important for people to learn, that it takes many people to make this world go around, and you can help people, and everybody can help each other. You never know when you're going to learn from people, and you're never too old to learn. Sorry, I can't hear you. You might be on mute, Philip.
I'm on mute. I just, when you share that story with me, it gives me goosebumps from head to toe, and I get very emotional, because the short amount of time I've had to get to know you slightly reasonably well. We spoke for quite a long period over a couple of times, and I know you've been up against, obviously, possibly staring into the abyss on numerous occasions, and you have really, literally, in every sense of the word, gone out there and helped so many people on this journey, despite having to handle the challenges that you are faced with. And I know for a fact that you are self-made. There's been no, as you said, you got a bottle of wine for winning something. It wasn't what a tennis player would receive, or a motor car racing champion. And you have really gone out of your way to establish yourself phenomenally in the business world. I know I've got an incredible, obviously, reputation behind your skivs, or whatever, the paddling scenario. I know you make your boats and canoes and all the paddle equipment out of Portugal, so it's one of the reasons why you spend a lot of time there. I'd love to ask you, Oscar, in your journey of the 12-time world champion, your paddling, your skiing, the ocean, the kayaking, could you share one moment where it was a really pivotal moment that just where you had to dig so deep that it just got you through that journey?
It's actually quite an easy one, because it happened in 2012 at the age of 49, and I'd won 11 world titles, and at age 49 I decided to win my 12th. And into the race is 52 kilometers between the island of Molokai and Oahu, where Waikiki is in there, and that's 52 kilometers, open ocean. And understand, 49 is ridiculously old to think that you're going to beat these youngsters. And I'm racing against guys like Clint Robinson, who's 2 or 3 times Olympic medalist, and lots of other medalists, and young guys, 20. I couldn't even do one pull-up. Understand, I can't do one pull-up. These guys can do 1,000 pull-ups. And in that race, I went off slowly because I'm old. So the guys are much faster and younger, and they went off. By the end, I eventually won that race by 14 seconds, beating another guy 15 years younger, by 14 seconds, over 3 hours, 21 minutes. And when I finished that race, I didn't throw my paddle in the air. I didn't do what most tennis players do, and anybody, they shout and they spray the champagne. I just couldn't even breathe. I couldn't even breathe, so much so that I think if I'd fallen out, I would have drowned. So that's how far I'd pushed my body. At 49, my body was crying out. But the biggest and the most important thing in life is that your mind's got to stay positive. The minute your mind becomes negative or weak, I can assure you go down that hill very fast. And especially the trials and tribulations I've had. If I wasn't positive, I wouldn't be here. I can tell you that right now. And that taught me how far I could push my body, that race at 49.
And Oscar, at what age were you diagnosed with this this cancer that you obviously carry within your body? What age were you?
56. I just turned 56, and I was sitting in this. It was interesting. I was sitting in this room, and I had the phone on speaker. Claire was sitting next to me, right in this same couch that I'm on right now. And the doctor said, "Oh, we found the tumor on your spine. It's pushing on your spinal cord. It's eating away your spine." And I phoned my friend in America, and I said, "What the chances?" He says, "Well, you better get back to South Africa. This is a secondary cancer. It's not the primary cancer. We don't know what the primary cancer, but give yourself 6 months." And so I said, okay. And obviously my wife cried a lot. I cried a little bit. But then I said, listen, what I've done in my 56 years, most people don't do 2 or 3 lifetimes. And it comes from being a young boy at 14, ready, wanting to try and win in life, win at everything I did, business, family, health, and obviously sport, So and that started because my father was German, and he was very much the German mentality. It's one way, and the only way is the right way. And if you're going to do anything, do it properly or don't do it at all. So that started, and it started when I was 13 years old, where I realized that you have to put in the work to get the results. I mean, I was twice the size of everybody when I was young, and therefore I won all the time. But there's always that guy that is more determined than you and is more motivated than you that beats you, and then it wakes you up. And it woke me up at age 13. And at age 13, I realized I had to put in the effort to get the rewards. And there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as an easy, this guy's natural. You have to put in the work to get the results. And I've been like that in my business career. I've hardly ever worked for a person. I've worked for myself. The harder I worked, the more money I made. And that's what life's about.
And again, Oscar, just listening to your dad being German and obviously straight down the line, what were 1 or 2 things that stood out for you that you recall from your dad's guidance in life that also helped you to trigger and spur you into this mindset of just really staying unbelievably focused, unbelievably driven to get to where you wanted to get to in your career, in your sporting career to start off with, let alone your professional career?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting dynamic, is that I sort of looked at my father, I worked out all these things, but understand by 14 and 15, I was already beating my father, who was like the best in South Africa. So it didn't take me long where I had to go and look elsewhere to see. And again, there's so much out there, but that old story, that's your gut feel. You know better than anybody else how you can achieve, but you want to learn from other people. I've learned from another guy, Tony Scott, who was really fast, but again, I ended up beating him and then learning from other people. So don't sort of pin your hopes on one person. Just keep moving and developing a new kind of persona, because that's exactly the things that I did were never achieved before. So nobody knew how to do it. So I had to do it. I had to work out the ways. But the one thing that my father said is, you're going to do it properly, or don't do it at all. And then just do everything at full pace. And I don't know if there's any one moment that sticks out that says, okay, from age 14 to age 61 that I'm now, I still want to win everything that I enter. I mean, what fool can do that? Like, I still think I can beat the best in the world if I just get a bit of a break and I don't have too much chemo and things like that. I still believe I can do well, and I still do it. I actually go out there and do it. Like my golf, I suddenly playing good golf again. Because I started practicing, and that's what life's about. I cannot understand how people can go through life in mediocrity. I just want to do and live life to the fullest, and I think that's what a lot of people do. And my talk's about trying to overcome your average, try and be better than you are, and that's the story of life.
Oh, I just love your input there. Just again, it gives me goosebumps, and because there's always someone that we are inspired by, or people we're inspired by. And I know for a fact that you have always surrounded yourself with very good people and people that push you and challenge you, which is just phenomenal. And on that note, just a few moments ago on the screen, that amazing book, which, by the way, I have started listening to, but it's too short of notice for me to really get into it. But I'm very excited to hear more, and I've downloaded an Audible. That book, No Retreat, No Surrender. It's resonated with so many people and so many readers. And what I think this might be a very simple answer, but hopefully not a simple question, but not a simple answer. What was the motivation to share your story and particularly the challenges that you face, both as a Did you hear me there, Oscar?
Yeah, I mean, I knew exactly. So I got diagnosed on the 25th of November, 2019 in this seat. And the next day, on the 26th of November, was my wife Claire's 60th birthday. And I organized a surprise party. The only surprise she got was the cancer. But we went to the surprise party. And then on the 29th of November, I'll never forget, I was walking around the Nello factory, which is about 3 kilometers up the road. And I phoned my friend Graham Spence. He's the same author as Elephant Whisperer. And I said, Graham, you won't believe what's happened. I've got the cancer and I've got 6 months to live. And obviously he just about cried and he was shocked as hell. And I said, but don't worry, I'm sure I can outlast the 6 months. And he told me, he said, listen, I'm on a deadline. I can only start in 4 months' time. I said, don't you worry. I know I'm going to beat it. So what happened was, and I said, I don't want this a book like every other sportsman writes a book, and it's invariably about blowing smoke up his ass to say, hey, no, this is what I did. My book was written specifically for helping other people overcome adversity and going through life and learning from the lessons that are obviously the things that mistakes I made. You learn from mistakes and you learn from the good things I did. So, and after every chapter, there's life lessons that teach you what the mistakes I do. And in Audible, as you see, I've got a proper narrator, and then I come in to answer all the life lessons, because I think that's important. I mean, a book, it would have been like a sort of an autobiography of what I've achieved. I didn't want that. I wanted something there that actually helped other people, and it has been. I mean, as I say, I was talking to your doctor friend there, and I said I've had drug addicts giving up drugs because they read the book 2 or 3 times. I've had cancer patients, many of those, obviously, and then I've had people that are in depression that said, "You won't believe this. I read your book, and it's cured me of my depression." I'm not saying, but it's helping. And I had this guy who was about 80 years old. His son went through COVID and was a farmer in South Africa. I never forget, he hardly could speak English. And he came to me, he says, Oscar, he says, and just about crying, he says, my son was so negative, and I gave him your book, and he's changed man. In the last 3 years, he's a changed man. So, and that's what I wanted the book to be, and it's turned out to be like it. I mean, I have so many people, and I'm always writing, keep fighting, because that is the important thing, and keep positive. And my sign off when I say Oscar Chalupsky, I say keep positive, keep fighting, and I sign my name, because that's what life's about. You just got to keep fighting. I mean, and again, it's going to be tough. Some battles you're going to lose. Yeah, I've lost many races in my life, but this battle is that's giving me now the cancer is quite a tough battle, and trying my best and taking people along with me on the ride. As I say, it's very up and down. You know, 1 minute you on your death minute, next minute you paddling and playing golf, and that's life. And then working all the time.
And Oscar, with regard, and thank you for that insight. It really, it's I know it's huge, and you've just mentioned 1 or 2 people, 3 or a handful of people that it's inspired. I know for a fact, and you know for a fact, how many thousands of people that book has given to people, and it's just mind blowing. And I know a lot of corporates around the world hand it out as a gift to inspire their teams, to inspire them not just in the workplace but also in their lives. And this is something where I really feel very aligned with your mindset and mentality and vision and focus, in the sense that as an organization, we are all about how can we help people build their lives and do better. You know, we're all good versions of ourselves, but we can become better versions of ourselves. And it's giving people those tools to be able to do so. And this leads into the question, at what sort of age were you when you started just helping people? Because not everyone helps people. People tend to grow up at a certain stage. People can be very selfish. But where did you feel this kicked in, and what drove you to just start helping people?
It's funny, in our sport, in Lifesaving, there was a double surfski. And I was really very much better than everybody else. So I was in a double surfski, and I would just take anybody off the beach to be my partner in the double surfski. So I had to teach them how to paddle. They didn't even know what paddling was. Teach them how to paddle. This is at the age of 14, 15. So I really was starting to teach people how to paddle. And everything I did, obviously, at that stage was at the 100th miles an hour. And funny enough, these people that I just taught, and I got them to train, and I showed them that you can take anybody and make them do anything. And I made these guys, and we won South African championships every single year with a person that never even knew the sport of paddling existed. I'd put him in the back, train him. Of course, you got to make sacrifice. He made the sacrifice, came training, and can you believe it? We won South African championships 4 years in a row in the junior double ski. So it just shows you that you can change anybody. You can coach anybody. And so that's how it started. And then you'll see in the Doozy, which is a big race in South Africa, down the Umkomaas River, I took Nas Botha, never paddled. I took baby Jake Matlatla. I took Peggy Sue Kamala, Dr. Kamala, Anati Africa. So I took these people that couldn't even swim. I took them down. And so my life has been about really letting other people see the beauty and the fun that I've had. And that's how you do it, and I think that's my life. I mean, when I got to Sanlam, after that was in 1986, I was very young, but I worked out how to work the sales system. And within 1 or 2 years, I was teaching every person in Sanlam, 15,000 sales agent, how to sell life insurance. So my life has been about, and again, it's one of those things that it's been sort of a labor of love. I've done it. You don't make a lot of money out of it, but you get a lot of satisfaction of helping and teaching people, and I think that's where my journey has been going from, as I say, maybe from 15 years old. So again, one of these things I'm very unique at. I always want to help people. Even if they don't want advice, I give them advice, by the way.
Well, listen, they always say never take advice from someone, below you or beneath you. You definitely can definitely have the authority to give people advice, Oscar, with your journey. And as you said, you've literally done more than most people would do in 3 or 4 lifetimes. So it's just remarkable. Tell me, on that note, I wanted to ask you, with regard to, have you ever read the 5 Love Languages, Oscar, by Gary Chapman?
No, I don't think I have.
No, it's an amazing book, and I think I've already identified your love language, and that love language is very much about acts of service, and that's there are 5 different love languages out there. One of them is, and it's not necessarily the top, you only one, but quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, and gifts. And I definitely am putting your love language right at the top there, and it's just phenomenal. And Oscar, tell me, with regard to your sports, your business, and you bring a lot of psychology into your talks. Can you just expand a little bit on how these elements really come together in your journey and in your message? Because I love that. Sport, business, and psychology. I mean, I know a lot of people who drive organizations through with one dimension, but you bring a lot of these together. It's almost they complement each other from what I understand.
Yeah, and I would add to that is family and network, because I understand this, that life is you go through different facets, and I think that the important thing is to have a sort of a balancing act, but that balancing act changes all the time, and understand that when you're putting the effort into your sport, it's got to, and it should reflect in your business. You'll see that a lot of successful sportsmen have become successful business people because they know the hardship. They know the time you have to put in to achieve anything. And it's the same discipline that you have in sport that you have in business. So I really work those two. But there's one thing that you've got to remember is family is very important. I've been together with my wife for 41 years coming now, 41 years. And she's been there all the time because you need the support. I can tell you, life can be lonely if you haven't got support. And other thing, and I was just talking to your friend, I've got 8,000 contacts. Yeah, because networking is also important, because friends are there to help you. But if you don't reach out and if you don't contact them, they don't become friends. They just become distant memories. You've got to keep that network going, which helps in business and in sport and in everything in life. You've got to keep that relationship with your family, your kids, and everything like that. And you've got to make sure that you don't burn the candle at the wrong ends, like working too hard, partying too hard, training too hard, too much family time. You've got to have this balance all the time, and it changes all the time. Understand, when you're young, you've got to watch the kids playing rugby and water polo and soccer, whatever it is. When they get out of your hair and they're not a burden anymore, you can go and travel with your wife more often. So you can take your wife on business trips. So that's very important, to keep that relationship going. And really, the only way to do all these 4 things that I talk about is to have a goal and write down the goal. So if you want to go to a race in Spain, write it down, and then you've got to have a plan. My life's been about plans all the time. You've got to have a plan if you're going to get to the end goal. And so many people, when I ask them, what do you need? What is the most important thing in building a building or a house? Everybody says the foundation. I says, too late. You have to have the plan to achieve that goal. And I'm very goal orientated. I mean, from that young age, I said I wanted to win the junior and senior Ironman, wrote it down, did it. And because I won the junior and senior Ironman, I got a bicycle. So there's always, with the goal comes the rewards. And that's the fun thing. But if you don't write the goal down or don't tell people, you'll never achieve it. So the first thing is, they say, and this is a fact, that if you write a goal down, it's 85% of it's achieved. If you don't write it down, and I was always different. I wrote it down, and then I told everybody. And so if I failed, people would always point finger. I told you could never do that, So there's different ways of setting your goals, but the most important thing is to have a goal. And that goal's got to be, like, I know when I was young, I used to plan at 4:30 years to train, and then 8 o'clock go to work, and then make time for my wife, make time for my children, because life just goes by so fast that we forget our kids and we forget to do the fun things in life, So, and I think that's important. The balance in life is very important. And as I said, I like family, business, sport, health, those things, and the psychology of all of it comes down to integrity and honesty.
Oh, music, just wonderful. I love what you've put into place there. And off that, I'd love to just expand and elaborate, if I may. Someone shared with me the other day, how do children, or how do people that are close to us spell love? And that's TIME, time. Spending that time together, sitting around what we call the family boardroom table, whether it be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or spending quality time together. And it's a balance, and something that we absolutely, when we open up any of our coaching programs, whether it's a 6-year-old or whether it's a 78-year-old, oldest person that's walked through the door at the British School of Excellence, 78, we always get them to write 4 sentences down. And one of those 4 sentences is, nothing's ever achieved unless truly first imagined. And then we go in from there into, if you think it, you speak it. You can hold it in your hands, but you've got to write it down. You've got to have that vision. You've got to have that vision board, because that is what will drive you every single day by looking at. And we actually get people to create their vision boards, take a photograph of it, and have it as their screensaver. And then you monitor them as they go on. And I love the fact that you would tell people, and then they held you accountable. And that's another great way to motivate people, to motivate oneself, is by sharing with someone, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to learn to play tennis at this level. I'm going to go and train. I'm going to do the Comrades Marathon, whatever it might be. And then people can keep checking in on you and pushing you and encouraging you. So I just love that, having accountability partners on the whole journey. And I would imagine, without a doubt, that your wonderful, well, not young kids anymore, but your children and your wife have just been right behind you all the way.
Absolutely. You have to have them behind you again. And again, they give you guidance. I mean, understand, you can never too old to learn from anybody. And I never forget, I was in Israel coaching some people how to paddle. And this lady, she's 65. She's probably been paddling 2 years. I've been paddling 40 years. She said, no, I sit on the boat like this. And I looked at her and I said, oh, why do you do that? And she told me the explanation. I said, from that day on, this is how everybody I teach is going to sit on a boat. So it shows you. And she was 65. She'd 2 years experience. I had 40 years, and she taught me something new. So you can never know who you can learn from, what age. You never too old to learn. And that's a great adage to keep to. And just always keep your ears open. Whatever there.
Yeah, that for me, boom. Keep your ears open. Learn to listen, to understand, not to respond, and genuinely understand. Because that is, and I noticed when we spoke the other day, I know you just arrived in the country, but your listening ear you were so tuned in, and what we spoke about, you reiterated certain aspects and elements. And we, again, talking about networking, I love the fact that you've got only 8,000. I mean, that's a couple of people in your phone there. I'm surprised the phone hasn't disintegrated with that amount of contacts. That is just phenomenal, remarkable. But as you quite rightly said, your network is your net worth, but you've got to work at this. It's something you've got to invest in. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about your relationships, not only your contacts and friends, but your family. If you don't put fuel in your motor vehicle, you're going to run out, and you've got to keep topping it up. One of the things, and I'm digressing slightly, but I'm very focused on this. And you and I both, a few weeks ago, both met Gary Player, and I know you've obviously met him on numerous occasions. But Gary Player was with his wife for 70 whole years, and when he speaks about her, he still wells up and bursts into tears but he says, there's something. He said there wasn't a day that goes past that he didn't get on his knees before bed and say thank you for an incredible day. But gratitude is something that he goes on and on about. Obviously about health, and this is something I know you are very focused on. Health. You've really, I think your journey, what you shared with me, your journey to where you are today, giving only a certain amount of time to live, you've really taken this on as your biggest, no doubt your biggest challenge, and you've really gone out there to make a big difference in your own life, but also, again, a difference that has this ripple effect amongst your friends and your family. And that is just remarkable, Oscar. I mean, just share with us a little bit of an insight into your experience, but not only your experience, the knowledge that you've gained on this journey and how you are still with us here today, which is truly an amazing blessing.
Yeah, I mean, my whole life has been that I don't know everything, but there's a lot of people out there that are very much cleverer than me that I can learn from. And I'm always reading 2 or 3 books at a time. And when this cancer hit me and they said, oh, you've got 6 months, and then I flew back to South Africa, and then I had a lady phone me, listen, you've got this disease called multiple bone marrow cancer. You're going to get sick when this chemo comes. I said, okay, well, if I get sick, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fast for 3 days. And I fasted for 3 days. And I never, ever got sick. And the cancer never affected me. And again, I learned that from just being clever, reading people saying, listen, if you've got no food in your stomach, how the hell can you get sick? So I never got nausea. I got nothing. I used to finish my chemo and go and have wine and all those good things, So I learned from that how you've got to think out the box. The doctors are there, yes, to help you, but it's up to you to think differently and find different ways. I mean, yes, I mean, I was basically given my last rites in November last year. So I was back in stage 4 in hospital for 21 days. And I said, okay, there's no way I'm going. Excuse me, the priest for coming. Yeah, I think you're a bit too early. And I said, no way. So what I did there, I fasted for 21 days. I didn't eat for 21 days. People think that you're crazy, but that saved my life. My markers went like that. And then stupidly, and me being stupid, you can always make mistakes, is that I carried on with this very expensive drug called Darzalex. And within 4 months, just on 4 months, it stopped working. And you know the reason why it stopped working? Because I didn't fast. So I've got the most aggressive cancer out. And now when I look back, I think, no way, I've just got to fast. So I've got to make these sacrifices. And I know, and I've read a lot about Professor Thomas Seyfried, Dr. Jason Fung. So I know what a human can achieve. If you had 12% body fat, you can fast for 6.5 weeks. So I've got no problem in fasting for a month or 2. I don't care, but I'm going to try and outlive it, because yesterday, as I told you, the doctor gave me the news. He says, there's no more treatment for you. Go home and die. I said, surely there's something you can do. He says, no, there's nothing. Just go home. Well, I said, how long will I last? He says, maybe a year, but I don't know. I mean, what kind of doctor says that? There's got to be alternatives, and I'm looking at alternatives. And obviously, I'm on other medications. I'm researching it, and now, if I don't get on this trial, which I'll know on Wednesday, then I have to go on a thing called CAR T, and that costs between $1 million and $3 million. So I'll have to do a lot of crowdfunding. So that's when your network's going to come in. They either can keep me alive, or I'll just keep fighting without any medication. So those are the kind of things that can happen. And again, at no stage, and this is the important thing, at no stage. I mean, I've got a big hole in my head this side, I can see, and I've got my ear cut off because I had skin cancer. And some people always ask me, do you get down? I said, no, you cannot get down. If you get down, there's no way you'll get up again, because it's tough. Because what happens if you get down, your family gets down, your network goes down, everything goes down. If you just upbeat all the time, and everybody say, oh, you're looking so well. I said, yeah, I wish, but inside me, I'm not well. But that's the most important thing. Your brain is the most important thing, and you just got to keep it positive. There's nowhere else.
Gee, I tell you what, I wish you could spray that, and I know you do through your beautiful work and standing on stage in front of various people around the world, corporates and individuals and children and inspiring people. But just if you could sprinkle some of that energy around the world, oh my word, we'd be in a completely different different scenario as the world stands right now. That is for sure. And Oscar, with your upbringing, your dad was obviously very clear, doing things focused, stay true to yourself, be honest, be authentic. And on that journey, I know your upbringing would have been very strongly based on good etiquette and manners. And I would like to say, without a doubt, that has served you through your life as well, of how you treat people wherever you are, whoever they are, and through your beautiful politeness, your etiquette and manners, and your strong emotional intelligence, and not only that, your sense of just giving is just extraordinary. And I just loved your little insight on your upbringing when it came to towing the line and knowing that you had to sort of say your yes pleases, your thank yous, parat, as they say in the Afrikaans language.
Yeah, it's interesting, and gets back to my mother, who died of cancer at age of 42. And our house basically was like the halfway house. When we went to an event, and they weren't huge those days, this is going back 50 years, my mother would bring enough soup to feed 50 people. And from that day, and when we had a lunch, we had like 20 cars outside our house, and everybody got fed. So everybody came to our house because they knew we were giving, and we weren't wealthy or anything like that, but we just gave and gave and gave. And I think that's why to lose your mother at age 42 when I was 18 years old was tough. But I saw in her how giving she was. So I think that's also what attributed to. And then I was born up with two brothers and a sister, Herman and Walter, great competitors. And you can see, if you're in the right environment, you suddenly get better. So everybody was good at sport because I was pushing them and they were pushing me. And that's how we became the best in the world. So you have to have adversaries and opposition in life. Don't think life just goes and you're going to be the best because you just got this natural talent. No, you got to put in the work, and you've got to have other people pushing you and getting you out of the comfort zone so that you can actually achieve more than you ever thought. And that only happens with opposition. And I think that's what happens in business. That's what happens in life. You've got to have the opposition. Don't think opposition is a bad. Think of the good of opposition.
Thank you for a great answer, Oscar. One of our listeners has sent in actually two questions. The first one is, again, what an amazing program. And she's got a question along the lines of, how do you maintain the balance, Oscar? Obviously through your journey, you're now 61. You're 61, aren't you, Oscar?
You are.
Am I correct? Yeah. How do you maintain this? How have you maintained this incredible balance through your journey? Because as you said earlier, there's no plain sailing. You do get curveballs thrown at you, and some really bad curveballs, which you've obviously had. How do you maintain that amazing mindset and balance?
I think the question should actually be is, how do you learn to get this balance? Because the balance comes because you've written it down. You know what is right. You think you know what is right, but you've got to go and listen to other people. They've all had trials and tribulations that you can learn from. And I think social media and reading, and you will find out ways to get that balance. Because for me, and as I say, how do you get that balance? I've had that balance all the time. That's my sort of life DNA, that I know I've got to spend time with my family. I've got to spend time in the business. I've got to spend time training. And then I've got to have some downtime. Downtime is not a big thing for me, by the way. So that's probably the only part that goes off balance is the downtime, because I'm always going. My wife always says her favorite, I'm exhausted. And I said, oh, what have you done? But she's exhausted looking after me. Obviously, it's a hard job. And I've already paddled 30 kilometers, run this, done work, woke up early in the morning because I never get exhausted. So I'm feeling sort of always fresh and ready for the next task, So I don't relax enough. But sometimes I do, and then, as I say, yesterday when I got the news that I didn't have long to live, I went and had a slow lunch, but no wine, no carbs, because the battle begins yesterday.
Okay, that's harrowing to hear, but I know if anyone's going to get this and hit it between between the eyeballs, it's going to be, there's one individual, and that's going to be you. Oscar, I know time is running away and I was late coming on. I apologize for that. I was hoping to have a lot more time together, but we can catch up on another level. And I know the other thing that I notice about you, Oscar, is you're also very giving. I know people phone you up regularly. They email you, how do I do this? How do I do that? And that is a remarkable trait because, again, time is possibly, as you said, along with our health, is the two most important things we have in this world, time and health, and obviously then the family and love and all that, but time and health are the keys. And that is a remarkable trait to have. And again, I know you don't stop, which is just amazing. So, for anyone out there listening to this Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire program, I know Oscar's just an email away. He's got LinkedIn. I would love all of you to please have a look at that incredible book, No Retreat, No Surrender, and keep it like a Bible next to your, or the Quran or whatever you focus on, next to your bed, and have it to dip in and dip out of. And, on Oscar, on that note, I'd love you just to leave us with a few amazing sort of words of guidance and steering that you can share with the audience, because I know we could talk for hours and we'd keep everyone riveted. And the takeaway from today has been huge. I've so enjoyed the time we have had. It's just flown by. But please, if you could just leave us with some words of guidance and steering that you feel would add any value to anyone's life.
Yeah, I think there's two things that I really am strong about. A lot of people out there, and I guarantee this, is they're all worrying about life, worrying about where the next money is coming, worrying about this, worrying about passing this, worrying about doing this. People worry. And I was taught at a young age, I've got the cure for worrying. All you do is you go into a bathroom, a toilet, lock the door, and worry and see if anything changes in life. Nothing changes. So worrying is a stupid thing. If there's something that you can do about it, do it now. Now, not wait for tomorrow. Everybody gets mad at me at my family. I said, phone this guy. No, can I do it? No, I'm doing it now. Because if you do it now, the worry disappears. If you can't control it, don't worry about it. That's number one. And number two, if you just do a little bit extra, a little bit, 1% more than the guy next door every day, like doing one sit-up and the next day doing 2 sit-ups, you, at the end of the year, it's like compound interest, are going to be better than the next person. So you just got to get a little bit. It doesn't take much. When I won my 12th Molokai World Champion, I wore a wetsuit in the middle of Durban summer. I put a weight in my boat. I did that little bit extra so that when I got to that race in 2012, I had done my homework. Huge sacrifices, but done my homework and just done a little bit more than the next guy. And I won by just a little bit.
Oh, Oscar, beautiful. Love it. Love it. I have to give an analogy which we often use in the organization. It's like standing on the top of the hill with your mouth open. Do you think a duck's going to fly into it? And the chances of that happening is you and I've got more chance of becoming pregnant. It's never going to happen. So as an animal lover, but just as an idea, you got to shoot that out the sky, wring its neck, and pop it in the pot, because it's the only way you're going to ever eat your duck.
100% agree.
Yeah, Oscar, Fussbait, please take great care of yourself. I know everyone's looking after you from all over the world, and your wonderful family. And it's you know where I am if you ever need just a good heart to heart. But please, I just thank you so much for your time and energy. And it has taken energy, because I know you are really now on a path to stay very, very focused, and we are right behind you. So thank you so much for your time today. It means the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Philip. I really appreciate it and I really enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Oscar. It's been an absolute joy. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep tuned to USA Global TV and Radio. Keep tuned to our YouTube channel, on the British School of Excellence YouTube channel. We would love you to follow us, and we are going to be having many, many more Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire episodes this year with some phenomenal guests that are lined up going forward. So please stay tuned, go onto our website, click on the socials, and you will be informed of what we're doing and what we are all about. And this is about changing lives and going forward, because we are all a shepherd in this world. We have the duty to go and guide, steer, and help people. That is what we have at our fingertips, and it's a privilege and an honor to be in this field, in this space. Every single one of us, go out there, make a difference. Do that 1 extra percent, that 2 extra percent, and your life will change. Thank you all very much.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I find really I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school, this class is the best, this is the best school ever.
You should take it. It's just, it will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you. Thank you, BSC.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.